Chapter 1. Eminem. I got my dream job. I got to pick up Marshall Mathers, aka Eminem. He was at the peak of his career and the concert was sold out. I did not take him to the concert. I was instructed to wait at the back of the arena, which, at the time, was called the Panther Arena, located in Sunrise, Florida. I waited till the concert was over. Where I was instructed to park was an incredibly quiet place, no crowds around, since it was a secure spot controlled by the Sunrise Police Department. After a while of waiting, I saw a gentleman that looked like Eminem in the far distance. I didn't know him personally, but I had seen him many times on videos. He wasn't difficult to recognize. I found it odd that he was alone, just him walking toward my limo. As he continued walking toward me, I opened the limo door, but he stopped and introduced himself and asked if it was okay to stand there for a little bit before getting in the car. I was in total shock, yet I kept my composure. He shook my hand and introduced himself, just like a decent person would do. He was very amicable, approachable, and actually very talkative, the opposite of what one would expect from a famous person such as he was. When you saw him on TV, he seemed arrogant and very disrespectful, but no, not the Eminem who was standing next to me that night. We talked about different subjects. Nothing important that would amaze anyone, but I did tell him how much my kids loved his music and that he was my son Daniel's idol. He smiled and asked me to tell my son that he said hi and that he should always do well in school. I asked him for a big favor. He said, anything. I asked him to autograph the inside of my limo on the upper mid-pillar. No problem, he replied, all smiles. I handed him a Sharpie, and after climbing aboard, he signed the mid-pillar with his name. He then asked me to take him to his destination. We got going. He continued talking. He was a very friendly individual, and he made the entire trip quite enjoyable. I just could not believe I was getting paid for this. As we got close to the exit, a large crowd of fans rushed to the limo. Police officers and security guards were opening a way out. It was amazing. I felt very important at that moment. People were touching the side of the limo and trying to look inside the vehicle. Eminem just sat there and looked around. As we began to get going with the escort service leading the way, I realized we were going in the wrong direction. I asked him, "Sir, why are we heading north? It's not the right way." He moved closer to me and said, "Wait, no one told you where we're going?" I said, "Yes, of course, this is why I was asking." He said, "Do not worry, just follow the escort, and when we get there, you'll find out why." A bit strange of an answer, but hey, he is paying, so what do I care, I thought. 20 minutes later, we drove towards the back lot of a rest area. There I saw 3 Prevost tour buses all running, ready to go, with the drivers and some of the band members standing around, obviously waiting for us to arrive. I pulled to the side, near the front bus, as I was being instructed. When I stopped, I opened my door and walked towards the back of the limo and opened Eminem's door. He stepped out and stood before me. At this point, I was thinking, wait, maybe we are here because he needs to change and get ready for the after-concert party, since I was hired to take him there soon after the concert. However, what happened was not exactly what I thought. Eminem extended his hand to me and said, "Thank you so much for the trip. You are a very pleasant individual, and I would like for you to give your personal business card to my assistant, so that next time I come back in town, I want to make sure it's you, and you, only you, who picks me up." Well, that put a huge smile on my face, but wait, it felt like he was not coming back, and that really confused me. Why is he saying goodbye, I thought. I was taking him to the after-concert party. I was baffled, but yet, who cares how flattered I feel? I don't want this job to end. I asked him, "Wait, I thought we were going to the after-concert party." He looked at me, smiled, and said, "You don't know?" "Know what?" As I was saying those words, I saw someone that looked just like him walking towards us. At that point, everything made sense. I smiled and said, "Okay, I got it," and laughed along with everyone else around me. Eminem then shook my hand again and said, "Hey, take care of him and keep it between us." It was incredible. At that point, I realized what was going on. I picked up Eminem from the concert to show the fans, media, and everyone around that it was him in the limo for real, as it was happening, and everyone knew the next step was the after-party. His entourage had to make it look real, but as famous as he was at the time, he had no time to spend at an after-concert party. He was way too busy for that, and he needed to rest. At the time, he was touring quite a bit, and an after-concert party was not for him anymore. So his manager hired a double to represent him at all of his after-parties. I'm sure the double got paid quite handsomely to perform such a stunt. The double approached me, and the more I looked at him, the more amazed I was. He looked just like the real Eminem. Height, weight, age, skin colour, hair, clothes, bling bling. A total knockoff of the real one, yet he was a bit different in personality, not as friendly, but he played the role well. As everyone entered the tour buses, we also proceeded to head to the after-concert party. He was sitting in the back with 2 bodyguards. The drive there was quiet. No one talked to me. The whole episode was very different. But who cared? I met the real one, the real person, so I was happy as anyone could be under the circumstances. I just could not wait to tell my kids about this amazing experience. We arrived at our destination. The place at the time was called Riverfront, downtown Fort Lauderdale. It doesn't exist anymore, but at the time it was a hot spot filled with many bars and clubs. The crowd was out of control, people everywhere. It was impossible to drive around, but the escort in front of me made it easier. I was guided where to go slowly but surely. We had finally made it in front of the club. I approached the red carpet as I was being instructed, but in this situation, you don't open the door for the client. They do it themselves, since they are trained how to do it and when to do it. I waited behind the wheel and watched how the crowd actually believed it was him, the real Eminem. All I could do was sit behind the wheel just thinking that the real Eminem was probably already relaxing in the back of his tour bus and on the road towards his next gig. When the double finally got out of the limo, I headed to the back parking area where I was instructed to wait there until I was called to come back and pick Eminem up. I acted as if the other man was the real star. I knew it was all a charade, but I could only go along with their plan. Hey, I was getting paid well to be part of this travesty. I actually felt honoured not only to be part of it, but being paid for it. I figured out that by letting people think it was Eminem there, the club could be full in no time. Eminem would get a big chunk of the receipts, $50,000 to be exact, while the cost would be minimal in comparison, probably $10,000 for the limo, decoy, security, etc. In the end, everyone was happy, including me. So why not continue to go along with the pretense? 2 hours later, I was called to pick up the double and to drop him off. This time, the destination was less glamorous. I took them to the back of a shopping centre where there was a black SUV waiting for us. I stopped next to the SUV, opened the back door, and as he stepped out of the limo, he shook my hand. He smiled and said, "I'm sure you'll remember this for the rest of your life." I said, "You have no idea," and smiled back. Everyone else said goodbye, and as I drove back to my house, all I could think about was how incredible this night had been, and this was just the beginning to the limo life